Well, so you've been doing a lot of work crunching numbers over the last, well, at least year, I actually, frankly, for many, many years, but specifically related to COVID, specifically related to this metric of all-cause mortality. And back in, I think it was, gosh, I can't even remember. I think it's at the beginning of the year. You came up with some data that was showing from, I believe it was from funeral homes. You were looking at data from insurance companies from a few different places, and you were seeing some significant changes. So why don't you tell me about what you found back then, and then we'll bring things up to present.
Sure, no problem. My journey began really in February, March of 2021 when the vaccine program was rolled out. I started hearing anecdotal stories about deaths, injuries. They were anecdotes. And being a former stock picker, portfolio manager for BlackRock, and having been on the sell side, that piqued my interest. And I'm into pattern recognition. And then the mandates came along in the fall of 2021, and I started to join anti-mandate rallies on Maui. And through that, I was eventually able to meet Dr. Malone and become affiliated with him. I told him that I suspected that something possibly was going on with the vaccines. So I told him that I would investigate insurance company results, funeral home results, and that I would monitor them, and we'll see if anything, interesting or strange would happen. And sure enough, in January of 2022, we got the first inkling that something was very wrong, potentially. And that was One America CEO Scott Davison was on a Chamber of Commerce call, and he wasn't aware that there was a reporter, Margaret Menge from City View in Indiana, following this Chamber of Commerce. And he mentioned that in the second half of 2021, all-cause mortality among especially working age members had rose to a stunning 40%. And just to put some frame around that, a 10% increase in excess mortality for this working age group would be a once in a 200-year flood. 40% was just off the charts. And to understand why this is so significant is it was the group life business. And group life is a specific business. It's not individual policyholders. It's people that work for corporations. And I remember, and I'm sure many of you who have been employed in different corporations, when you onboard with the corporation, you sign your health care, and then you sign a death benefit that's given to you basically for free. And it's anywhere from $50,000 to $200,000 policy. And, if you're not married, you assign the beneficiary as your parents, or if you're married, it's your spouse. So when we all onboard and do these things, we never expect to collect. Well, in the second half of 2021, Scott Davison sent off the warning signal. And his company, which is a $100 billion insurance company, experienced just this incredible rise in deaths and claims. Fast forward to February, when the insurance companies start reporting, I started to see similar results from other companies. And Dr. Malone got me on Steve Bannon's War Room, where I started to talk about this. And I said that I wanted to be a lightning rod for this issue, which meant I wanted people that had knowledge or anything to contribute to help. And one person immediately contacted me that weekend. He's coming public now, and he's going to come public on his own time frame. But his name's Josh Stirling. He's a former #1 ranked insurance analyst on Wall Street, worked for Bernstein, which is a very well-known research equity shop. He was on the street for 7 years, and he agreed to help me analyze the insurance results.
So this is really fascinating. And I just want to clarify for the benefit of our viewers what 40% actually means, right?
So 40% is like a war. It's not something that happens in the normal course of business. And in 2020, when COVID was raging through the country, we saw that mostly older Americans died, mostly old. In 2021, the COVID was still going on. The vaccine rollout had occurred, but we saw a mix shift from old to young working age people that in 2020 weren't affected by COVID to the same degree they were in the second half of 2021. And so this is just an amazing statistical anomaly that just does not happen in the normal course of business and just life.
Just in practical terms, there's this sort of baseline rate of death, right? And this is like, a 40% increase from that. That's why you're calling it a war.
To fast forward a little bit, Josh started to look at CDC data. And the CDC data, as presented on their website, was lumped all ages. And so what he was able to do was take the data, download it, and they did provide ages of the deaths. So he was able to create age cohorts. And because he has actuarial training, he created a baseline from 2015 through 2019. That's how you calculate excess deaths. So you have to have a baseline from which to compare it against. And what he found, and what I found with analyzing the data with them, was something very alarming. The age cohort from 25 to 44, which we call the millennials, experienced an 84% rise of excess mortality into the fall of 2021, August, September, October, and the rate of change was just dramatic. So they were running around 40-50% in the summer, and then this parabolic spike move up into the fall. And it then tailed off and settled back down. But 84% rise in excess mortality for that age cohort represented about 61,000 Americans who perished from March of 21 to February of 2022. And 61,000 deaths is the same as the Vietnam War casualties we experienced over 10 years, where 58,000 Americans died. So something happened. I mean, my opinion is that it's the vaccines. That can be debated. We can talk. I'd love to debate anybody. The problem is there doesn't seem to be any interest in debating that issue, nor am I allowed to talk about it on certain platforms. That's all we're asking for, is the ability to at least bring this tragedy to light and then discuss why it's occurring.